Hello, I'm Ingrid Moerman from IMEC, and I will give you some further information and guidelines on the first open call for experiments. ORCA will organize 5 open calls, 3 open calls for experiments and 2 open calls for extensions. A first open call for extensions was closed in November, and in December we have launched this first open call for experiments. More information on open calls can be found on the ORCA project website. Here is some general call information. Most important here is that we have 2 deadlines. The most important deadline is the actual submission deadline, which is Wednesday, 28th of February. But we have also a second deadline, 10 days before the submission deadline, on the 18th of February, which is a feasibility and relevance check deadline. Let me explain that to you. We have a feasibility and relevance check because we want to make sure that your experiment is feasible, can be done with the functionality and the testbeds offered by the ORCA facility, and we also want to check if the experiment is relevant for ORCA. Because in ORCA we have a budget for open calls, we have a budget to fund third parties to use the ORCA facility. We do not just want to give away the money for people using our facilities, we also want to learn from your experiment and get feedback from your experiment in order to further improve the ORCA facility. That's why we also do a relevance check. In order to do this check, you have to search for a main contact person, which is called the patron. And the patron is the main ORCA partner that is in charge of the software-defined radio platform you want to use, or the software tools you will use on top of the software-defined radio platforms, or the testbed you want to use. It's up to the experimenter to select the most appropriate ORCA partner as a patron. It is of course possible that for executing your experiment on the ORCA facility, you need to interact with more people from the ORCA project. No problem with that, but for the proposal, you have to select one main contact person. This patron will, if your proposal is successful and will be supported, the patron will also be responsible for basic and advanced support to your experiment. During the proposal time, the patron will write a feedback section on the feasibility and the relevance of your experiment, and this feedback has to be included in the proposal. So here you can see some financial information. The maximum budget for an experiment is 50k euro. The total call budget is 350k euro, meaning that we expect to fund about or at least 7 experiments. We also foresee a budget of 28k for support by the patron. This budget makes sure that you have the optimal support by people from the ORCA project. The funding mechanism that is used for open calls is called third party receiving financial support using cascade funding. What does that mean? This is actually a mechanism that simplifies the process for participating in a Horizon 2020 project. With this mechanism, third parties are included in the project by a sub-agreement between the ORCA coordinator, being IMEC, and the third party. It is a very simple process, not only for inclusion, but also for payment. For payment, we only expect 2 invoices, one invoice at the end of the experiment, and payment will happen after evaluation of a final report. And then a second invoice will follow after successful review by the European Commission. And that's the only administration that is required. There are several requirements related to the proposers. So of course, proposers must be eligible for participation in EC Horizon 2020 project according to the standard EC guidelines. We will only accept proposals from a single party, so we do not allow consortia. We have 2 types of experiments. One category is innovation by industry, and for this category, we expect proposals from small, medium, and large enterprises, and also from unipersonal companies and individuals. The participation of SMEs and unipersonal companies is strongly encouraged. Only one proposal can be selected from the same proposer. This is the case when multiple proposals are submitted in the same OpenCall. In this case, if more proposals are highly ranked, it's up to the proposer to select the one that he wants to be retained for funding. It's also if a proposer has already been selected in previous open calls, then it is not possible anymore to participate in another ORCA open call. So the general scope of this open call is to validate innovative software-defined radio solutions using the facilities, the software-defined radio hardware platforms and software toolsets supported by the ORCA Consortium. For the software components that are supported, we refer to the OpenCall document and to the ORCA project website. Same for facilities and hardware. You can also find more information in the OpenCall document on the ORCA project websites and on the links that the project websites redirects you to. Here you can see an overview of the software components that are offered by ORCA in this open call. This is what you see on the project website. So if you click on one of the components, you will be redirected to the actual software. If you want to have more information on these components, you can also have a look in our deliverable D2.2 that is also available on the project website. So in this open call, we welcome experiments that deal with advanced end-to-end networking that make use of the real-time capabilities that are offered in ORCA. Also scenarios that support very diverse quality of service requirements are very welcome in scenarios that share the same wireless technologies or the same spectral bands. For your experiments, you can build on top of existing ORCA showcases that have been developed in the first year of the project, and you can find more information on the showcases in deliverable 2.1. Of course, you can also bring in your own showcases. We further encourage you to use the specific ORCA functionality for doing experiments on, for example, dynamic spectrum sharing, or to develop strategies for interference coordination between multiple technologies in ISM bands, to integrate physical layer digital processing and MAC targeting low latency operation. We welcome experiments on single user MIMO operation. We also support experiments on millimeter wave operation. We further offer functionality that allows you to do basic network virtualization, where it is possible to slice a physical network infrastructure into multiple virtual networks and radio resources allocation strategy. We also welcome experiments that apply software-defined radio or cognitive radio solutions in specific vertical markets. We believe there are several benefits for experimenters to participate in this open call. Within this open call, we offer advanced and well-documented tool sets. In this way, the experimenter can focus on the optimization of his wireless solution, and we can help him in setting up a complex experiment in a software-defined radio environment without losing time to dig in very complex manuals or reading lots of very technical specifications. So we can help you to set up your experiment in a very short time. We further offer easy access to the different testbed, to the different wireless devices, software-defined radio platforms. We do that because the testbeds are FAT4Fire compliant. We can do that with a single account and by using unified experimentation tools. Very important is that in these open calls you get dedicated support by skilled ORCA members through interaction with your patron. Also, the application process for participating in this open call is very simple, much easier than standard Horizon 2020 proposals. Also, the reporting process is very easy. We further offer a rapid review process. After submission of your proposal, proposals are reviewed within a month. These proposals follow the guidelines, or the evaluation process follow the guidelines for EC proposal. This means that proposals are not evaluated by the ORCA Consortium, but are evaluated by independent external evaluators. So the ORCA Consortium has no impact or influence on the evaluation process. So here you can see the proposal template. There are 8 sections, and so there is a summary that can be public if your proposal is selected. Then there is a section B with the detailed description of your experiments and also describing what you expect to achieve with the experiment. This is the most important section and is 4 to 6 pages. Then there is a section where you have to indicate which ORCA software tools, software-defined radio platforms, and testbeds you will use. Then there is the section D, which is a feasibility and relevance check. This is a section that is written by your patron and that has to be included in the proposal. Then there is a section on background and qualification. There is another section F on the expected feedback to the ORCA Consortium. As I explained before, this section is very important because with this open call, we want to give you funding for doing your experiment, but in return, we want to have feedback to the ORCA facility to help us to improve the ORCA facility. Then there is a section where you have to detail the funding you request for your experiment, and there is a final section where you indicate that some parts of your proposal can be used by the ORCA Consortium. So for the feasibility and the relevance check, you only have to complete sections A, B, and C. For the other sections only have to be written for the final proposal that will be submitted. And the section B and section F are the most important section of the proposal. So please pay sufficient attention to these sections. Here you can see how the proposals are evaluated and what are the criteria. There are 9 criteria, and some of them have a double weight. So the criteria on the potential for feedback, on the scientific or industrial innovation, or on the scientific relevance or industrial standardization relevance. These 3 criteria are most important and relates to sections B and F. Then there are some other criteria like clarity and methodology, feasibility and relevance, qualifications of the proposer, value for money, and publication or demonstration potential. And then there is a 9th criteria, which is only for experiments in the category innovation for industry, because we recommend and welcome proposals from small enterprises and unipersonal companies. Such proposals get a bonus of 3 points. The maximum total score is 55 points, and based on this score, proposals will be ranked. So there are 2 categories of proposals. There is a category of scientific excellence and the category of innovation by industry. These 2 categories of proposals, so proposal in these 2 categories are ranked separately. Then you can see the reporting template. It just gives you an idea what is to be expected at the end of the experiment. I will not go into further details right now, but if you have questions, we can give you further information once your experiment is selected for funding. Maybe important is the do's and the don'ts. So it's very important to select a patron and discuss your initial idea before you start writing your proposal. Don't be afraid, you can interact as much as needed with the ORCA Consortium. If you need help for selecting a patron, you can use the general info email address of the ORCA project, or you can talk with different ORCA partners and later on decide who is the patron that will be the interface between your proposal and the ORCA Consortium. So it's important to interact with the patron, and also, if needed, with other ORCA members, but only one of them can be patron. The patron can give you any technical assistance or answer any technical questions related to feasibility and relevance, but don't expect that the patron will review your proposal. This will not happen. As I said before, section B is a very important section of the proposal, but you only have 4 to 6 pages. So be concise, be to the point. There is also no need to define work packages or separate deliverables as you do in other Horizon 2020 proposals. There is only one formal deliverable. This is the end report, but you do not have to define the other deliverables. Section C is the section where you have to indicate which software, tools, hardware platforms, testbeds you want to use for your experiment. Please be sufficiently specific on what exactly you need for your experiment. We need that for writing the feedback section in your proposal. So be sufficiently precise on that. Then for the section D, for the compliance check or the feasibility and relevance check, you should include the feedback from the patron without any modification. It may happen that for your draft proposal, the patron has some concerns or doubts. That is not a problem. You still have time. You can still interact with your patron, and you can, in addition to the feedback from the patron, write a response to the feedback. This can be added in the proposal. So further, don't underestimate the importance of the section F, which is the feedback section, because it is very important for the project to know what we can learn from the experiment to improve the ORCA facility. Further, it's always good when you write a proposal to look carefully at the evaluation criteria and try to give an answer to all the criteria in your proposal. This helps the external evaluators a lot. So there might be further questions to the ORCA OpenCall. So if there is additional information to this OpenCall, which is not addressed in the general OpenCall text, then we will add this information on the ORCA website in the OpenCall section. So please regularly check the frequently asked questions section in case there is additional information. So proposals have to be submitted via the submission portal, both the draft and the final proposal. So this is the end of the presentations. For more questions, don't hesitate to contact us either via the general info email address, or you can directly contact potential patrons or ORCA partners. Thank you for your attention.